Well, Puffy got locked up. He's a famous man. Everybody want to be famous because you could do what you want to do, say what you want to say, and do things to the people that you want to do it to. Unless you're doing and saying some of those things to the wrong people. Roll the intro.
Let's get into this Diageo situation. This lawsuit that you brought against them, right? You had a historic relationship with them 15 years, going back to Ciroc, DeLeon. I never even heard of Ciroc until you started doing the commercials, blew it out the water. Then you had DeLeon, and everything looked like it was on the up and up, owned by a black man and all that. So a lot of people was confused when the lawsuit came about. You shared some information with us when we came to your house that we wasn't aware of. So can you really talk about that? Because I think it's a very interesting case study for entrepreneurs to understand.
A meeting was set up, and I told them, you know, I want to be an owner, that I have these ideas from promoting parties at Howard, just remembering that I would always get the door and never get the bar. And so I said I have aspirations to have black-owned brands owned by black people behind the bar and a part of your organization. They're the biggest distributor of spirits in the world, biggest maker of spirits in the world. So we get a test project. I'm looking at their portfolio, and they say we can start something from scratch. I said, I don't want to wait and develop nothing. Let me show you what I could do with Ciroc. Let me show you how I could turn your revenue around. They were losing $40 million a year, and I went and turned it around and took it to 2.6 million cases from 40,000 cases. Okay, and so this is something that's never been done.
Clap it up.
But I was like, I really love tequila. And this was before the whole tequila craze. So it's like you make a deal. You make a deal like, I'm gonna advance this for you so then we could be good partners and you could give me what I want, which is my opportunity for me to own my brand and to be able to build generational wealth for my kids and my people. And I just need the same 24 hours as y'all giving everybody else in your portfolio.
So basically he's saying, I'll do this for you, right? And then in return, when I want to develop mine, you do it for me. That wasn't the case. This is what happened.
I had to send my people down to Mexico, and this is just to tell you what the fight is about. They went down to Mexico, and when they got down there, they found out that there was 0 agave planted for DeLeon. So there was no plan for us to be successful. There was no equal treatment. The other brands, they had agave planted. They had no agave planted for me.
50 Cent had something to say about Puffy and the type of people that he's dealing with and how much influence they have.
It's great for us to work for them. It's not so cool when you start to own things. You see what I'm saying? So I made a lot of money with them too. Like, there's a point, they did a deal that mirrored what Puffy's deal with Diageo was for Ciroc. So he didn't have ownership of that at any point, but he was getting a lot of money, like almost like $60 million a year.
See, these people that run these companies, they understand that money is really, really nothing. It's nothing. Money is a byproduct of owning something, because when you own it, you can produce the money endlessly. You could spend money. Money will eventually run out. But if you don't have a source from where that money comes from, a continuous source, then you're always going to have to go back to the source when you run out of money. This is why they have a problem with you owning things. They don't want you to own anything that people want, because when you own it, then you can create the money for that thing. Plain and simple. So this is one of the things that they're dealing with, right? But Puffy made an interesting comment. He said, nobody is coming to save us.
We have to come to the reality that nobody is coming to save us. No one is coming to save us. Out of all the business revenue in America, only 1% goes to black businesses.
So let's put that in perspective. For every $100, imagine it's a room full of people. Okay? You got black, Asian, you got all these demographics. For every $100, they're only going to give the black group $1. $1. So all you get out of that whole $100, $1. That's 1%. The interview went on, right? And one of the hosts asked about Empower Global, right? And I guess it's like this global market that Puffy has produced. And I listened to his response, and here's what he said, okay? Now, I want you to listen to what he said, and I'm going to give you the translation of what Puffy actually meant.
One of the things that being successful and having money, people kind of get your purpose messed up. They get it fucked up, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? They don't really know what cloth you cut from, because once they see you getting money, it turns into something else.
Okay, so what he just said is people get you messed up. And once they see what your purpose is and you start getting money, they start acting different. So he's basically saying you have black people, right? And then you have another group of people, right? This other group of people thinking they can manipulate you to further their cause. But when they see that you're cut from a different cloth and then you start to get money, things change. When they see that you're for your people and you're trying to make a difference to free your people and put them in a different position, then they change. That's what he meant by that.
When they talk about us having money and y'all look at us, it's truly an illusion of inclusion.
We'll talk
Like
about that.
I can't play a part of the illusion of inclusion. So you're looking here at me like I'm totally included. No, I'm fighting for the same thing I was fighting for when I got into the game, but it's at another level.
At another level, right? But the thing is, it's going to be a challenge no matter where you are. I mean, you can be in corporate America going for a promotion. You're going to be met with those same types of challenges. I understand it's at another level. Yes, I do understand that. But it's the same energy. And the energy is meant to keep you at a certain level. How many levels below them? Doesn't matter. It's meant to keep you below them. Whoever's in control is meant to keep you under them, because you got to be under their control. That's basically it. No matter how much money you get, you're always going to encounter that, because you got to remember who created this financial system. It's like a game of Monopoly. Who created the game? So you're trying to get rich in a game that you didn't even invent. You never gonna get rich. You'll get rich, but you have to understand, you have to know what being rich is. You have to know what being wealthy is, because if being rich and wealthy involves having a bag or $1 million, $1 billion, then you're always gonna be poor. You always are. Let's get more into it, because I think I'm getting too deep. Let's talk about the disconnect. I think one of the hosts, right, asked him how he sees things now that he's a winner. Okay. And I say it's a disconnect because the host's mindset is on getting the bag, like I said, getting rich. But Puffy's response was pretty much saying that if my people ain't doing good, then I'm not doing good, no matter how much money I have. And that's what I mean by what do you consider being wealthy and rich? Because if it's a bag, then you're always gonna be poor.
I mean, when I look at it, I just know the truth that it's not enough wealth being spread around, you know. And so I'm at this point, and that's what energizes me. I don't really look at it, you know, as far as like, okay, I'm a billionaire. I'm more like my people are not doing good. Yes, I'm blessed to be a billionaire, but at the same time, you know, if my people aren't doing good, then I can't be settled.
Because we
My people are not doing good, then I can't be settled. Do you know what it's like to have money and to go to France, or you go to Italy, or you go to Rome, and you go to all these places, and in every situation you see your people at the bottom, or they look at you like like, what are you doing here? Because it's not normal for them to see people of that caliber. It's a thing where you see the definition of a permanent underclass, and you don't feel good about it. That's basically what they're seeing. Nas, Jay-Z, 50, all of them see it. But the thing is, like even with 50 Cent, you know, he's got his TV show. But the content of the show is bitches and hoes and niggas selling drugs. That's because if he tried to promote anything else other than that, it probably wouldn't be on TV. Same thing with Tyler Perry. Dressing up in a wig, you got this contrast between light-skinned, dark-skinned dudes, and it's the same damn storyline. All right. Let me get back to what I'm talking about, because I'm starting to just rattle on with some stuff. Now, the host called it being discouraged, right? He said that Nas felt discouraged when he saw the amount of wealth at the top. Now, I don't think that was the correct term, all right? I think the correct term should be Nas felt pissed off when he saw how much wealth was at the top versus the way his people are living. But they chose the word discouraged.
Because we talked to Nas, and he was saying, like, you know, he's been doing a lot of venture capital investing, and he's been killing it. And I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, the higher up he moves, the more discouraged he gets.
Yeah.
Because he's into different circles now, and he's aware of information. He's realizing how much money is out there and how little money we have, where he didn't really fully understand that before. So it's an interesting paradigm, right?
I don't understand how he didn't see that before. I can drive through any rich neighborhood in America and look at the amount of mansions. I mean, I can see mansions all up and down Sheridan Road here in Chicago. Take Sheridan Road up, or go up through Highland Park. And the thing is, there's a neighborhood like that every place in America. That should give you an idea how much wealth is out there, or how much wealth has been taken. So I don't understand how is it, what do you think these people come from that are at that level? I don't understand how you didn't see that disparage, or that unevenness, or that imbalance. I don't know. All right. So anyway, I'm trying to stay on topic. All right. So better yet. So the thing is, he basically confirmed what I already knew. All right. You know, Puffy confirmed what I already knew, that there's always going to be a challenge the further up you go. There's always going to be a challenge. So it's just that black people have that additional tool that certain groups can pull out and use it against you. right? Because being black and wealthy, I think you're at a disadvantage because you don't have a foundation, you don't have the proper support, you don't have infrastructure, right? Whereas when you have other groups and they get to a point where they become wealthy, they have the support. They have the lawyers that know the unwritten rules. They can show you how to navigate through certain situations. You have the support of your people because they're able to be more boisterous on crying out against what's wrong and what's right, and they're less likely to go along with the flow. Versus when you're a millionaire and you have your people or black people as your base, when something happens or some form of injustice happens, there's not going to be as quick of a response, right? I think we'll cry out if we see something like a George Floyd or if we see some type of physical injustice. But when you get into the corporate side of things, we're more likely to say, well, I guess that's how it goes. Whereas if you have a different base and they can see the corporate injustice, then you're more likely you'll see people speak out against that. Versus on the other side, they'll probably just go along with it. So back to the clip of what I was saying. He confirmed what I already know. So let's look at that clip.
You think that you've overcome everything. Oh, I finally made it. And then there's a whole nother army up there that is there to try to push you down the hill. And that's why from being at the mountaintop, I could come back down and tell y'all the only way out of this is if we can unify and combine our forces, because what's waiting for you up there
Yo, that's pretty insightful. That's actually ill. That's like a metaphor of like you seeing the opposition on the other.
Shut your dumb ass up. Yeah, that's pretty ill. It's like a metaphor. No, he just told you what he said. That you got a whole nother army waiting for you up there. It ain't no damn metaphor. He telling you. People coming for you. Anyway. Yeah. So I think, when you're black and you become, or you get into a role where you become billionaire, millionaire status, that you do have to move differently, right? Because it appears that you can indulge, you can indulge in the parties, you can have the parties, you can do the thing that you do. But I think to a certain degree, you have to be uncorruptible. You have to be uncorruptible. Simply because if you are corruptible, then you're putting yourself in a position where certain things can be held over your head, and you can be called on the carpet, and you can be charged. Even with Bill Cosby, when he tried to do his thing with buying NBC, I think what they did is they found out what he was doing with dropping pills into women's drinks and all of that stuff. And what they did is they had him do a disposition, and they told him, hey, look, if you just confess, we won't move any further. Just confess, and we'll just take this confession and lock it up, and you'll never see it again. So what did Bill Cosby do? He confessed, right? And they documented everything, and they locked it up. And then I guess a new district attorney came along, and he says, you know what? I think I want to use that against him. And Bill Cosby started getting all these accusations and charges. Now, Puffy's been locked up. I understand that he had went to a country where they didn't have an extradition treaty in place, and that he agreed to come back 2 weeks early, right? And he came back 2 weeks early. because he was going to turn himself in, and they found out he had returned, and they arrested him before he was able to turn himself in. Now, why would they do that? Maybe it's to shut him up. Maybe we're going to have another Epstein Island thing. Maybe he's going to mysteriously die in jail. I don't know. But I think it does provide an incentive for people to start coming out the woodwork and to say more things and to allow them to build a case that they didn't have in the first place. I think that's how it's going to play out. And I think that's why they locked him up. They locked him up to make him shut up so he wouldn't talk. And that gives these people time to come forth and for them to build a case. So I've always said this, though, and I honestly believe that, and, you know, y'all probably might be pissed for me saying this, but everything that has happened to black people, we've done that to ourselves. We've done it to ourselves. You probably say, well, why do you say that? Why do you say we've done it to ourselves? I'm not going to even go into it. I'm not. Even if you had to go back to the Civil War, you'll see that we did that whole thing. Oh man, I'm probably just y'all probably gonna be mad as hell at me. All right, I'm not gonna say nothing else. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And I'm not trying to take anyone's side. I'm not trying to say that Puffy's a good guy. I'm not saying any of that. Everything that he's gonna get, yeah, he probably deserves it. But what I'm saying is that if we're gonna have justice, then make it equal for everyone. I mean, even in the case of Epstein, when they convicted him, the only people I saw get convicted was him and his girl. That was it, right? Now with this Puffy thing, now they're talking about him and then they're talking about this person and that person. Let's just see how many people go down with this whole thing. If it's just Puffy, they ain't got nothing else to say, all right? But if it's Puffy and some other people, like this whole thing with the New York mayor, and then they're going to subpoena this person, and they just happen to be all people of color or all black people, then there you go. So, but we'll see how this thing plays out. But, you know, I just wanted to come on and kind of mention that and make note of that and, you know, give my 2 cents. And, and the one thing I was saying about wealth, the wealth is not in money. The wealth is in the people, because the people are the goal. The people are what produce the product. They're innovative. They create the entertainment. They create the music. They create the content that keeps you entertained while you're here. To have a talent is not something that everyone has. To be able to make something from nothing is not something that everyone has. And money is just a byproduct of that. It's an attempt to put an external value on something that's internal and natural to a people. And if the people understood that the real gold is what you produce and what's inside of you, then people wouldn't be selling themselves out to go for a bag. So that's all right. I hadn't rambled on enough. Yo, that's my time. I'm out of here.